Hey everyone, just a quick, as quick as I can be, trying to make this a quick talk about caged. I've had a few of my friends and students ask, just if we could have a bit of an overview of what caged is. And it's so funny, it's caged is, it's just a system that a lot of people use to visualize where the notes are on the guitar, and it's actually become a really divisive topic. There's online forums, and there's particular teachers and artists that are really anti-caged and saying, that it's I don't even know exactly what their argument against it is, but in my mind, anything that helps you to visualize the fretboard, understand the relationship of our tuning, which is unlike many of the other stringed instruments with our perfect fourth, major third, perfect fourth. Anything that works for you works, and so it doesn't have to be the defining concept for how you visualize the neck. But if it helps you, I only see it as a positive thing. And really, the guitar tuning presents us with these shapes. If we're talking about our open chords, they have a certain arrangement, they have a certain look, and so as we move them up the neck, we can use those familiar shapes to our advantage. So let me just forgive me if I'm telling you stuff you already know, but it's always good to start at the beginning. So caged is it an acronym? Caged, C-A-G-E-D. It's basically just meaning if you take our familiar open chords, a C chord, an A chord, a G chord, an E major chord. These are all major chords. C, A, G, E, D. Most people after the first, few months of playing guitar are comfortable with these chords, and we can use them to navigate the neck. So let's just recap how caged works. I talk about, we start on C, and I call this C as a C chord shape because it's a C chord shape, but obviously we can move this shape anywhere. Some results are better than others. I kind of like it up here as a G. You'll hear this a bit. So the idea is these shapes, we can move them around. The open strings don't always work in our favor, but we don't really, when we're thinking caged, we're not really thinking of using the open strings as we move along, but I'll show you what I mean. So this is C as a C chord shape. If we take the A chord bar, A open bar chord, and we move it up to the third position, as it's also a C chord, but it's out of what we think of as an A chord shape. That's sort of more how we play it with 3 fingers. Not everyone's comfortable doing it that way. Some people prefer that. Some people prefer to do this, that partial bar on strings 4, 3, 2. It does make getting the E string sometimes a little bit dicey. Sometimes it gets muted or held down. But that's C out of what I think of as an A chord shape. You with me? Is that alright? If we take our G chord, this is the real challenge to play as a chord, and we don't always play this as a chord in its entirety, but to understand what's going on here. If I move this chord up, so my second finger is now at the 7th fret and I bar the 5th fret, it's essentially like having a capo on the 5th fret and you're playing a G chord with fingers 2, 3 and 4. If you've played any classical guitar, this sort of stuff happens all the time. It might feel awkward to start with, and again, the point of this is not necessarily to get really comfortable with playing this G chord shape with a bar and getting every note perfectly, but just understanding that it's there, this combination of notes are there, and we can choose them, some of them, or we can use them partial chords, or we can play solos with them. But just to understand that if we move our G chord shape up to the 5th fret with a bar, it's now a C chord. So far we've got C as a C chord, an A chord as a C chord, an A chord shape as a C chord, a G chord shape, now working as a C chord. Here's my root note. In this case, the root note's always the lowest note. See, here it was here, C, 5th string, same root note C. Guess what? The next one, C-A-G, is E. This is the bar chord that most people are comfortable with because it's one of the first ones we look at. And essentially, it's an E chord that's been moved up to the 8th fret. I think that's fairly familiar to most people. So here's my E chord. Just going to keep going till I get to C. So that's C out of an E chord shape. So we had C, A, G. These are all inversions. Might be a cool term to think about. They're inversions of the same C chord, but the notes are jumbled up in slightly different ways, and that's what makes it interesting if you're thinking about using these as chords. You don't have the same combination of notes. You don't get the same intervals in the same order. C, C out of an A, C out of a G, C out of an E. The last one, caged, is D. So we need to play a D chord shape with the root note on the D string at the 10th fret. That's a C. So that's now, it looks like a D chord shape. If I played it here, I could play it as a partial chord with the familiar 1, 2, 3 fingers and just play that up here. That's fine. That is a C chord. It's a C triad. But to really put the root note in the bass, we re-finger it and use the first finger to get C. So now there's 5 ways of playing a C major chord, and of course they can all be modified to make minor chords, 7th chords, anything you think of with any of these open chords. You know, you can do to these caged bar chords. So let me show you again. C out of a C. C out of an A chord, C out of a G chord shape, C from an E chord shape, and C as a D chord shape. I'll do another video where we look at where the C major scale lies comfortably under each one of these chords. So if you find you're in a part of the neck and you know you're doing a melody or an improv or a solo or something, you don't have to shift back to the comfortable C pattern that you happen to know wherever that might be. You'll start to recognize these chords and these notes are all over the neck. You don't have to shift back to a home base once you're familiar with where how the chord and the scale relate to each other. Because I have had people ask me, you know, why do we learn this? You know, what's the benefit? You know, I understand that you know, it's a concept out there, but why should I learn it? Well, for me, it's part of unlocking the fingerboard and knowing that there are more than one way. There are many ways to get the same chord or the same result, or there's lots of ways to make the same chord interesting. If I had, you know, a song where I had 8 bars of C chords of a C major, and if I hear someone just playing this for 8 bars, I'm probably going to get a little bit bored. But if you've got a C here, a C here, and then there's something here, or you know, it's just more like how a piano player might play. They're not going to bang the same 3 or 4 notes for 8 bars. They're going to do interesting, hopefully there'll be some interesting movement, and we can do that on the guitar once we know where our chords are. One other, I mean, there's more to it than that. Definitely, if you're thinking about where your scales are, and for soloing, the caged patterns are great little signposts or landmarks to help navigate your way from one end to the other. But just one other little thing. Here's a challenge that I just gave myself earlier, and you might want to try it out. I was thinking of what's one of the really, what's a really, you know, common chord progression that people have heard many times, and it was sort of that sort of 1950s I don't know if you call it doo-wop or ice cream changes, I think I've heard it called, but basically C, A minor, F major, G. So if we looked at the chord scale degrees, that would be a 1, 6, 4, 5. Now if you know that, and you have to play, you know, for example, that in a song, you could play that all the way through the song, or you might decide that you'd like to find other ways to play that. So I thought, well, let's see if we can put it through each of the 5 positions. So with C here, C here, C here, C, and this one. So this is what I came up with. Here's the first one: C, A minor, F major, G. And the idea is, even though I know a nice G that I have up here, I'm not going to do any big leaps. I'm going to stay really close. I'm going to try to keep those 4 chords, C, A, G, C, A, F. I'm going to try to keep them as close as possible to each other. So in some instances, that's going to be quite simple. And other times you're going to have to really think about the cage shapes and where the next chord is. So if we go from here, here's our C, C, there's a really nice A minor here, it's like an A minor 7, but it's basically based out of the E chord shape, make it a minor. We don't need to have the root up here. So we've got C, oh, I'm in the 5th, we don't have to have the 5th. C, A minor, what did I need now? An F, so here's an F. D chord shape, but it's an F now, and I need a G, so where's that going to be here? So C, A minor, F, G. Okay, now if I take it up to the next position, my C is now, and even just that alone is worth checking out. If I'm hanging around here, the top note in my C is an E, or I could possibly put the G, but that's the highest pitch I've got in this location. So just by making the choice of playing a C like this, even though it's not necessarily the easiest way, I've now got a C. It's got the same low C in the bass, and it's got the 3rd next, then the 5th, but I've got an octave of the root up high. That's worth checking out. Okay, so we're going to go C, A minor, so you can still get your nice little bass line here. Now my F happens to be out of the C chord shape, and my G, I'm going to make it a G7. C, A minor, there's F, G7. So, you know, there's all out of one position. This kind of stuff also works really, really well if you're in a band with 2 guitarists. One guy can be playing those same chords up here, and the other guy, girl, the other person can be playing inversions. And so instead of doubling up, you're getting a richer sound of having slightly different voicings, but they're going to be complementary. So that was here out of the 5th position. Let's do C out of the E chord shape. So here's my C. My A minor, the nearest A that I can get to in this area, I could stretch up to here, but that's going to take me up. The nearest A is here, so I'm going to use the D chord shape, and I'll make it a D minor. So there's my A minor. Now I need an F. I may as well use the F bar chord there that's on the E string, 8th fret. Yeah, this one for me, I'm nearly always happiest doing that partial bar there. And then a G, I'm going to just play that one. I could do this like a G9 sort of sound, but we've got C, D, A minor, F, G. Again, C, A minor, F, G. And the last one is up here when we're working out of C as a D chord shape. This should be making a bit more sense now, hopefully. There's my C. Now the nearest A is this one right here, 12th fret of the 5th string. So I'm thinking I could do this, but I'm trying to really be strict with myself about position shifts. You know, that to me is a position shift from 10th position to 12th position. So I'm going to play this one. It's a little bit cheeky. Well, it's an A minor 7. A, C, G, C, A, C, G, C. So we've got C, A minor 7. I need an F, the G chord shapes. That's nice. I may or may not want that one right up the top, but and then my G is here. So C, A minor 7, F, G, C. I nearly did something else. C, F. Oh, F. If I continued along, I'd be 12 frets up from where we started. Let's try that anyway, because this is kind of a challenge. Now I could do this. Could I? But I'm going to try this. C. This little mini F here. That's with the E on the top makes it an F major 7. And then a G. C. And now I'm sticking with my rule that I set for myself where I don't actually leave the home position. C, A minor, F, F major 7, G. Now again, so the whole concept of cage is not that you can play bar chords all over the place. It's just looking at how the fretboard is organized. So if the main thing that you get from this video is that you can find a C here, then here as an A shape, here is a G shape, here is an E shape, and here is a D shape. If you just understand that concept, not that you can play them straight away, I think, you know, that's a win and a great start. So we can talk more about how we can use caged for melodic playing, soloing, rather than chordal playing. But I think just if you can grab your guitar and just find those 5 versions of C, if you're up to grabbing a piece of paper and a pencil and just writing out chord charts and just doing it off the guitar, I find that reinforces it. In my mind, it helped me, you know, just writing out, drawing shapes of it, and so when you come back to it, you know, it's a little bit clearer. And yeah, so let me know if that helps, and if there's something that I should have spoken about more or less, and we'll look at soloing, or at least playing melodies with the cage system. Yeah, check it out. Check out other videos online. It's really interesting that it's so controversial. I just think it's just it's a really helpful way of understanding how the fretboard is laid out in our standard guitar tuning. All right, thanks again for watching, and hope that helps. See you later. Bye.